guys, welcome back to Charlie and me, our camping vlog. As you know, the coronavirus may still be around, so we haven't been visiting campsites, but we have been asking you guys through our YouTube and through the Camping Crew podcasts, what would you like us to do videos on? As you may well know, we've looked at the tools we carry in the camper van, how to jack up the jacking points on a camper van for changing the back wheels especially. We've also taken a look at the electrics, the plumbing, and we've even answered some questions that you guys have been asking about the Camping Crew and the podcasts and Charlie and me. So today we're going to take a look at if you're thinking of buying a second-hand motorhome. You could be spending anything from 10 to 50,000 euro on a second-hand motorhome. If you're buying private, you've got to be really vigilant, is that the word? Vigilant. But if you're buying from an established motorhome garage, you don't have to be as vigilant, because look, they've got a reputation and you're going to get warranties, you're going to get guarantees. This is my 11th motorhome. The first one I bought from a friend of mine. There was no test, I just bought it. It was a Renault Traffic. It did me great for a little less than a year. I sold it on after going to a chap who wasn't a dealer, but he bought and sold cars and camper vans. I think I bought two from him. I think they were both 2 Knaus. I've also dealt with Minute Motorhomes. But the last 4 motorhomes I've bought have been from Pat Horan Motors in Eglish in County Tipperary. This is not sponsored by Pat Horan. I'm just letting you know that we tend to deal with reputable dealers. I bought 2 vans privately. One was a Ford Transit and one I think was my first HYMER. So this isn't the be all and end all. These are the things I look for when buying a camper van or a motorhome, and you can put this towards a caravan as well. If you're buying secondhand. If you're buying brand new, you've nothing to worry about. If you're buying secondhand from a garage, okay, do these checks, but chances are you've little or nothing to worry about. But if you're buying privately, be buyer aware. And these are some of the checks that I suggest you should do. There's probably plenty more out there, but these are the ones that I've done. One of the first things I do when I'm walking around a van is, be it through an agent or be it a private sale, I ask questions about the engine first off. For example, when was it serviced? Is there a service history? What mileage is on it? Was the timing chain done? Brakes, fluids, and the usual questions you would ask if you were just buying a second-hand motor, just to check out that everything is okay. In the case of this model that we have, it's a HYMER 655 low profile. It's a 06 model. So I'll take you through when we're buying it. I think there's 40-odd thousand miles on it. It's in miles because it was a British import. So there's 45,000 miles. Timing chain was done. When the timing chain is done by a garage, they normally do put details of when the timing chain was done. For example, back on the 7th of 18, sorry for the shadows, the fuel and air filters were done. And the timing chain was done also when we bought it in June, July of 18 at 31,000 miles. So this one is pretty okay when it comes to the engine. So another thing you'll want to do is take a walk around and take a look at the bodywork. This is all before you get in to the habitation area. Okay, 06, it's going to have a few dings, a few bangs, maybe not if it was well taken care of. We're the second owner on this, so the seller has just told me, again, remember I'm buying from a garage, that this has been owned brand new by one couple. So let's take a look around and see what you'll be looking for. The obvious things you're going to look for is the condition of the tyres, any body damage. As we walk around this van, we can see that it's pretty clean. There aren't many scratches on it. Paintwork, bodywork is pretty good. Again, the tyres are pretty good. A couple of little scratches here, but you're going to get them anyway. A little bit of damage along here and a little bit of damage along here, but nothing that would say, oh, do you know what? She's been in a bang, I'm not buying it. She comes complete with a tow hitch, bike rack, things I'm not going to have to buy. Again, taking a walk around here, good tyres on this side, body is pretty good, seals look good. I put those covers on the mirrors, by the way, but still, if they were on it, again, good looking van, pretty clean, nothing to worry about there. So you're happy with the engine, you're happy with a look around the van. Again, before you get into the van, I would normally take a look at the inside, the cab area of the van, just to see what kind of wear and tear, check the mileage that the seller said was on it. So let's take a look at that now. So we make our way into the cab, and you can see that the seats on this are in very good condition. Very little wear and tear. Do you know what? No wear and tear. The dash is in pretty good nick. It's not all scraped. Let's just take a quick look at the mileage. And it's 5 to 10 in the morning. That oil light will come on, and then the mileage should pop up in a second. 43,000, which is what he said was on it. Actually, I said 45,000. Very clean interior. Pedals, very clean, no wear and tear. No holes in the floor. In general, pretty clean bus. Okay, now what we're going to do is take a walk inside and see what the habitants is like. So before we make our way in, I'm just checking the latch on the door. I'm also checking the electric steps, and they all seem to be working okay. Then we make our way into the cab. Now, as I said, this is a HYMER 655 low profile, which means there's no bed up front. There's a fixed bed down the back, and the dinette collapses down into another 2-berth if you wanted to. We have never done that in this camper, but I haven't bought this camper yet. So we're in the camper. Normally, the first thing I do at this stage, I've been left alone to look around the camper, and if I have any questions, I then ask the seller the questions. So the first thing I always do, and again, this is just what we do, I check the presses. I go and I check the latch on every single press. I check the hinges. I make sure that that everything is working. Little things, but still. I even go to the extent of pulling the curtains around the front, even though I know I'm not going to be using them, because chances are I'm going to get windscreen covers. While I'm checking the presses, I will take a quick look in and make sure there's no damp or any mold or anything like that in every single press. Working my way down the van, check all the presses again, checking again for mold, checking the hinges and stuff like that. Then I go into the bedroom, I do the same again, and then I go into the bathroom and I do the same again. It's said in the car game, never buy a second-hand car in the rain. I would say regarding a camper, there's no harm buying it in the rain, because if it's lashing rain, you're going to see if there's any leaks on the skylights. I'll also push up the skylights, I'll check the blinds. I also check the blinds on all of the windows, both the dark blinds, and I also make sure that they're just little things that can cost a few bob. Then when I've done all that checking, I open all the windows. This is what I have done anytime I've been buying a van. Every single window and skylight, we've 2 here, we've 2, 3, 4, 5 opening windows. I open them up all the way. Some of them open, latch, let go, and then you push them up all the way to put them down. I check all of the catches that everything is okay. 06, pretty much okay, but if you're buying a 96, which I have done, a few of the catches will be worn. You're going to have higher mileage. At this point again, I'll check the wardrobe, again looking for damp in the ceiling. If you have a damp meter, bring it with you. In my case, Pat Horan loaned me a damp meter and I could check the camper for damp. Now, knowing that I was coming to buy this camper, I rang the seller beforehand and I asked could he have it plugged in, because that way the fridge will be cold again you get there. No point having a fridge that only works on 12 volt or gas, or only works on electricity and not gas and not 12 volt. But at least if it's plugged in when you get there, you can check the electrics. Check that the electric light is on over the door so the plug is working on the camper van. Fridge should be cold by the time you get there. So I've gone around and I've checked the presses. I've taken a general look around at the skylights. I've checked the windows. I've checked the blinds. Now I check the electrics. The fridge is cold, so I know the 220 volt is working and the light is on over the door. At this point, I turn on every single light that is in this camper to make sure that everything works. That light goes on, the bathroom light goes on, that light, any light in the camper, turn it on to check it. Turn on any inhabitants' lights as well. This one normally works when you're not plugged in. There'll always be one just inside the door for when you're not plugged in, you're not on wild camping. It's just an interior light that runs all the time. That happens to be that one on our camper. Normally they switch on from a switch at the front door. It did on our last camper, it doesn't on this one. Check every single light and make sure that it's working. At this point as well, I would check the water pump on the sink, switch on the tap, make sure it's pumping water, the wash hand basin, flush the toilet, and try the shower. You can take it if you do have a damp meter that you're going to get a bit of a reading in around the shower, but that's okay. Look out for the spots. In around the sink, you want to make sure that there's no water at being leaking there and possibly leaking down onto the floor. Check. I give the bathroom a real going over, because if there's going to be a water leak, chances are it could be there. Check in around the toilet. Check that the toilet flushes. Make sure you have a cassette in the back before you go flushing the toilet. Open the press. Check the roof. Check everywhere you can. Oh, and another thing, if there's a smoke detector, oh, hang on a second, we'll just turn this. If there's a smoke detector and a gas detector, see if you can check them as well. You've taken your walk around, you've checked the presses, the lights, you've checked everything that I just mentioned on the video. I now start walking. There was one camper van years ago that I almost bought, and it was on a Mercedes chassis. And I had walked around it, I had taken it for a spin, I had asked a few questions. But as I was leaving, the bathroom bothered me, and I went back into the bathroom and I noticed the floor was a bit spongy. So I did say at that time, it was from a garage, and I said, can we throw it over a pit or get it up in a hoist? I'll even sign a disclaimer for insurance purposes. I'd like to see underneath the van. I'm glad I did that, because underneath the van, down at the toilet, the floor was rotten. Now, when I pointed this out to the seller, the garage said, not a problem, we'll fix that. I didn't want it. Damp in a camper is the death of a camper, unless you're going to spend stupid money to have it done. So I said, you know what? No. And I walked away. I'm glad I walked away from that one. So start, don't be afraid, put your weight, get in under the table where, you know, the table could be another spot. Check everywhere. But one place I always check, and a lot of people don't do this, is under the seats where you've got storage, in the boot where you've got storage. So when I'm walking around, I now start going through cushions. Chances are they won't be in the camper, but I start taking off wall cushions. I'm gonna bring this camera down just a wee bit. So I start taking off the wall cushions and I check for them, make sure they're clean, that there's no mold on them, they don't feel damp. I do this with all of the cushions, including the bed. I'll pop up the bed, take a look at the cushions, just check the bed for mold. When you have this one up, and this is my main storage because my water tank is under the other seat, but when you have this up, bear in mind this is going to be full of gear. What I would suggest is get your foot in there and push on the floor. Get your hands in, push on the floor, and look for damp area in around there. Now, we have a leisure battery and an inverter there. I carry my drill and my electric leads, but when you're coming to look at a van, that's going to be empty. Get your foot in, push on it. Don't be afraid. You're going to be spending 20 or 30 grand. It's your money. You do whatever tests you want. There are probably other tests you can do when you're buying a van, but this is what I normally do. At this stage, if you have any questions, you get the guy in. You ask him to light the burner. Check that your cooker is working. You ask him to switch on the hot water. Do that early, so at least when you're walking around, you'll hear the burner coming on. You can check the heating system while you're walking around doing your checks, and by then there should be some hot water as well. You can run the tap and make sure you have hot water. If you can get under the van through a pit, through a hoist, or get on your back, do that and check for rust. Fiat Ducatos, no matter what age they are, but especially if you're in the 90s or the late 90s, check the front struts. There's a strut that tends to rust and it's an MOT failure. This is a 06, and on my last CRTV they kind of pointed out to me that needs doing, and I got a mechanic here in the yard just to do it. So for my next DOE, that'll be done. There are lots of checks you can do. If you've got a ladder to access the roof, access the roof. Hopefully, as I say, if it's a rainy day, you'll see if there's any leaks. Remember, if you're buying from a reputable garage, you're going to get a warranty. So if it rains 2, 3, 4 days, 5, 6 weeks later, and there's a leak, he's going to fix it. This one had some roof damage on it when I bought it, just at the corner. It had hit something high, like a bollard or something. I got a guarantee that it was checked. It has never leaked. We've had no problems with this in the 2 years that we've had it. There are other things you want to do mechanically wise. Check all the lights, take it for a spin. I'm not going to take you for a test drive. We've all done a test drive. On the test drive, accelerate, brake, steer hard right, steer hard left, brake while you're steering hard right, steering hard left, go into reverse, brake hard in reverse. If there's a reverse camera, make sure it's working. And as I say, check the lights, put on the headlights, put on the full lights. Check as much as you can, because 30,000 quid, even 15,000 quid, we all work hard to get that money. Do a good walk around and don't buy it that day. Okay, maybe if it's one of those good ones and we got a good one, but as I say, with Pat Horan, we've had no problems, and this is our 4th camper van to buy from Pat, or is it our 3rd? It's our 3rd camper van, all HYMERs. Service there has been second to none, so hopefully the dealer you're dealing with is good. But if you're buying private, you really, really, really need to do a very, very severe test, because you've literally no comeback when you drive away. So if you're buying private, and there's no problems buying them from these online websites or somebody you know, or Facebook, or somebody in the club, if you're a first-time buyer, just be vigilant. Really, really go to town. If you know somebody who has a motorhome, bring them with you. If you know somebody mechanically minded, bring them with you. If you can get a full service history, brilliant. Every little thing like that helps. But check for damp. Damp is the king killer of motorhomes, caravans and camper vans. If you're checking out a caravan, it's the same. Check the electrics, check the windows, check the skylights. Do you know what? If it's not a wet day, you could ask the garage, especially other chap, have you got a hose? Give it a good soaking while you're walking around. Just be vigilant and just take care and be careful, because as I say, it's hard earned cash and you don't want to waste your money. We've saw stories on Facebook of people buying campers and then when they get home, they discover problems. So be vigilant and bring somebody with you if you can. Again, this is one of our COVID-19 videos because we're not getting out to check the campsites. And to be honest, I don't think we're going to get out camping, at least in campsites this year. Possibly in September. Pray to your God, possibly in September. But in the meantime, I've been Aaron out in the yard, so there's no Charlie with me today because as you can hear, this place is pretty busy. Thank you for supporting our channel. Subscribe if you haven't already done so and click on that bell and you'll get notified every time we put up a video. If you want one of our Charlie and me stickers, please do. Charlie, email your address and your details to charlie@aaronbirchall.com. The stickers are free and we'll get them out to you in the post as soon as we possibly can. And if we have some of the podcast stickers as well, we're waiting for a batch of them, we'll get them to post to you as well. So email your contact details to charlie@aaronbirchall.com and we'll get them out to you ASAP. In the meantime, wash the hands, keep that social distancing, stay safe, and make a call to a family member or friend that you can't go and visit. Let them know you're thinking of them, and we'll talk to you again on Charlie and Me, our camping vlog very, very soon. Bye bye.